Happy Thursday, folks. It is Sharla Kornegay coming live to you with another Forever Friends Academy episode. Hello, how are you guys doing? Happy almost the weekend. And for some of you, it's going to be a long weekend, right? Memorial Day weekend. Some people are off. So hopefully you guys are, enjoying your week so far. Oh my goodness, I have someone already on with me. Marmalade. Oh, how are you? Oh my gosh. Wow. And I believe if I'm remembering right, your talented daughter. Oh my gosh. I don't know. Hopefully I'm not. I hope I'm not thinking of someone and it's the wrong person. But either way, welcome to the podcast. You are like right on it. As soon as I started the live, I was just introducing myself to and those of you who might be new to the podcast tonight. My name is Sharla Kornegay. I'm an author, a recording artist, creator of Interact Coaching and Forever Friends Academy, which is my online group subscription-based membership where I do online relationship coaching. And this is my show, Forever Friends Academy, same name. I pray that if you've embarked upon my corner of the internet, that you will hopefully, find it to be a space where you can help to learn principles, fundamental principles to develop relationships that last a lifetime. That is my main goal and my main mission with the coaching that I do, whether it's offline, it's private, or group sessions, or coming online with you guys, is to bring back hope that lasting love still exists and the importance of having a nuclear unit and whole unit of a family. So hopefully you hear something that you like tonight. If you're new, definitely welcome. And if you hear something that you like, definitely go to my Forever Friends Academy YouTube, channel and definitely subscribe, like, comment. I know everybody says it, right? But it's true to get, notified when I'm coming online live, as well as being able to see the full episodes are only there. So welcome. I hope you hear something that you like tonight. If you do want to check out my music, I do. I don't like to say musician because I don't play. Well, I do play the piano, but very little. So I am an artist. I am a singer, songwriter. And so if you want to check out any of my music on stage, I go by Sharla K. That's Sharla with an S, Harla, space and a K. And definitely just Google me or go to your, favorite music platform. And hopefully, I hope you find something that you like, you love, that inspires you, that makes you feel loved, that makes you want to love. All of those things, all of the above is what I hope people experience when they listen to my music, inspiration and love. So enough about me. Let's get into tonight's topic. And tonight's topic is really part 2 from when I was on with you guys on Sunday. And the title of that particular episode was 5 Ways to Teach and Nurture Mental Health in Relationships. And so we're continuing that conversation tonight. I started laying out 3 things that I apply in my own household that I do also offer and present to the clients that I have found, helps to create an environment that nurtures, right, mental health and healing of the heart. And so the question that I'll put out to you guys, I'll put out the same question since it is a kind of like a continuation from our last episode, is basically, how do you create an environment in your home, or within your relationships where it can nurture your mind, it can heal your heart, and how would you say your approach, or how you go about teaching it in your household? So that's the question for tonight, and I will recap a little bit the 2 things that I presented when I was on Sunday. Was it Sunday? Yeah, Sunday. Sorry, guys. The days are going. Is it just me? I feel like the days are going by so fast. I have to what day is it? For real. So I will definitely go over some of the 2 things that we went over. And welcome. I believe it's total Access Ray Solo. Well, thank you. I think it is your first time to the podcast, so welcome. I hope you hear something that you like tonight. Tonight, we are talking about nurturing mental health in relationships. May is Mental Health Awareness Month, and so I definitely wanted to. I mean, it's supreme. I think mental health is, right? Not just for 1 month, it is like supreme. Whether you are just a single individual person or definitely for all the dynamics of your relationships, right? Whether it's romantic relationships, marriages, familial, it's just essential. So definitely, hey Justin, hey, thank you for popping in, love. Always appreciate you. So definitely, if you just tuned in, the question that I put out tonight to you guys was, how do you, create an environment in your relationships that nurtures, right? Nurtures your mind and healing of your heart. And I want to start because I played a video last time. I want to start with that video again because I think it's such a great example and it's a good way to kind of really get into the meat and potatoes of this conversation. So I'm going to play just to give it a little bit of context. It is an interview that K Dean. I hope I'm saying her name right. I believe it's K Dean and Deval Ellis. They are, I guess, what you would call a celebrity couple. They're in the public eye, let's put it that way. And they are doing an interview because I believe that he was a football player, he got hurt. And then they kind of went through, a down season, built, their life back up together with each other. And he started doing acting, and they also do like podcasts. They do a lot. They do a lot of things together. But I believe recently his wife has now entered into the acting space. So basically the interviewer was presenting a question to them saying, how do you balance all of this? Because they also have 4 beautiful boys, and they're all kind of very young. And so she was asking, how do you balance all of it? And his wife was about to answer the question, and then he just basically had a very vulnerable moment. So just to give you guys the context before I play it, and I'm going to play it, and then I want to know your thoughts, and then I will recap some of the things that I said and talk about exactly what we're going to get into tonight. So I'm going to play the video, and then I'll pop back in with you guys, okay?
Been particularly challenging, I think, for us to be able to navigate the space of balancing work. Yep. You okay?
No, it's just that question. I was just talking to Josh about. I'm going to be honest. It's just hard. It's not easy. It's extremely hard. I'm sorry. Sorry.
Okay.
I am okay. It's just hard, like, to balance everything. I be trying my best. My wife be trying my best. We be exhausted. Like, I want to be honest. I can't sit up here and be like, we have a village and everybody know. It'd be hard. And it takes a lot of faith. I'm sorry. It's just, it takes a lot of this. Like, there's a lot of times you feel like you don't got nobody else. You solo. You in this by yourself. And I can look over and I got my
Mm-hmm.
I'll got 2 kids and I'm exhausted.
It's just tiring. Like it's hard. And I want to do all the things as a dad and a husband. And I know she wants to do all the things as a mom and a wife.
Yeah.
It just be hard, and then people watching y'all and y'all couple goals and this and this. Like, you don't want to mess this up because if people are believing in you, you have now a responsibility to be what they see in you, because you stepped out here and said that this is what we want to be, which is what we did. But I'm not going to sit here and lie to you, which is I was going to sit here and just give you the factory answer, but I can't. Well, I'm tired.
Mm-hmm.
I'm tired.
Yeah.
I miss my wife. I miss my kids. Miss myself sometimes. You know what I'm saying? Like, sometimes I get tired of being Zach. I'm tired of being the Deval. I gotta perform in interviews and I want to just be Deval sometimes. I want to just be like everybody today. You know what I'm saying? I want to, but you can't. And that's just a fact. Because when you decide that you want to invest in something that is bigger than you, you have a responsibility.
Yeah.
And that's just the honest truth. We have a responsibility to do this. We chose this. We're doing this together. So it's fun at times, but it is hard.
all of what he said. I love the fact that his wife offered him space to process it all the way through. And I also said, I love the fact that at the end, he gets to the point that he says that the vision that they've created is bigger than what he's feeling in the moment, right? What he's experiencing in the moment. And when you invest your time and your energy into, putting your heart and soul into something, the vision is bigger than you. And I was saying that in my own life, I say this to my husband or to my children that, you can do something that you don't like. You know what I mean? You can do something that you don't like, and you can have a feeling about something and be completely very well equipped and great at it, and so I was giving examples for myself that I always tell you guys when I come on here. For me, I'm more of a person who likes to sit back and observe certain things, and I'm not necessarily the person who likes to do all of the talking, because I had it in my mind state, like, if I'm talking, I'm not learning. But then I had to learn that that's not true, especially if you're doing something that God tells you to do, then you open yourself definitely to have space where you hit the target and you're able to have an opportunity for the wisdom to kind of be poured inside of you. So I've learned that. And I was I was saying on a, I guess a day-to-day type of example, I don't necessarily like cooking, but I cook really good. My family, so much that my family members and friends usually forget that I don't like to cook. And then they start asking me for like all these different type of recipes. And I'm like, didn't y'all remember that I don't I don't like to do this, but I do it and I do it well. But you can do things that you don't like and you can still do them well. And I think, that was one of the messages that I received from his video. That whatever feeling that you're feeling in the moment, it's not bigger than the vision or the things that you have decided to create, whether it be individually yourself or, with your partner. So those are some of the things that I was saying. I so apologize, guys. Thank you for Emily and Justin. For real. They are definitely some troopers. So anyway, let's recap the 3 things that I presented to you guys, because as I said, I was going to present 5 things, 5 ways that we can teach and nurture mental health in our relationships. So on Sunday, the first one that I said was, don't wait till something happens, right? It is literally creating some kind of either, whether it's check-ins with the family, just cultivating discussions and conversations to to prioritize mental health, right? Because I was saying, for me and for other people, whether it's coaching and through clients that I've dealt with, or just talking to just casually family members and friends, oftentimes people, their mental health journey starts when something unfortunately traumatic has happened or something happens, and then that's what starts their journey. But I think, just like I say with relationships, it's best if we start learning about them at young ages, like, of course, appropriate for the age level, but it should be, because it's such a core center of our existence in our life, we should be talking about it earlier on. And I think one of the issues why relationships fail at the beginning, right? They don't fail at the end. It just unfolds, right? But it really does fail at the beginning of how you started out. And I think because we don't talk about it in our households, and we don't help for, or leave room or facilitate space where we're saying this is something that you do want to prioritize, and do it in little small ways for even young children, then we're left at a disadvantage, right? Because now our bodies, when it comes to relationships, our bodies are definitely, all the chemical things, the hormonal things that we go through our life. If we're not mentally talking about it or learning how to emotionally process things, then we're late to the party, right? But we want to be able to navigate it in a healthy way. And I think it's the same thing with mental health. So that was number 1 for me, is create an environment where you are talking about mental health. And one of the ways that I would tell you that I do it with my little ones is, when they're having a moment, even if they're just feeling something happened, they're getting into it, they're fighting or they're arguing, and one person's mad, and of course giving space and moment for them to express themselves. And then I'll say, okay, wow, you're angry right now, and I'll ask them, what else did you feel today? Were you happy today at one moment? Did you laugh? Were you sad? Were you excited? Oftentimes they'll say, yeah, I felt this and that, and I said, wow, but now you're angry. Interesting. Does that mean that the emotion that you had earlier, like kind of like passed away and now you have a different emotion? And they'll be like, yeah. And I'm like, okay, so does that mean that what you're feeling right now too might possibly go away and you'll feel something else in the next moment? And, they'll be like, depend on how they feel, right? Maybe like, I don't want to hear from you right now, mommy. Or they'll be like, you know what? Yeah, that's true. And then we'll sort it out, And so that's a very practical way at their young age to understand, to provide the fundamental principle that emotions are transient and they're not meant for us to hold captive, hold captive, and make it feel like it's us. The emotion is not you. It's just a passing experience that you're going through or something that you're feeling, but you can process it out. You can process it through. So that was number one, create the environment where you're talking about it very early on in your relationships, definitely with your children, definitely between your spouse, if you're developing a relationship, as you're developing your friendships, etc. Right? So that's number one. Number two that I presented was that your, unfortunately, in America, I like to use the medical system as an example for this, that oftentimes you will, go to the doctor because we've had some indicators and we want to figure out what's going on to see if we can get a accurate diagnosis. And oftentimes, unfortunately, the way that the medical system is built right now, unless you find a holistic, right, doctor, they usually kind of just slap a Band-Aid on it, and they kind of compartmentalize what it is that you came in there for. They don't necessarily, right, think of how the stress can be also a part of maybe why someone's having physical pain. And even if they do, possibly the rehabilitation and the things that they might give for the patient to kind of use to, give them a recovery process might not always, deal with the stress. They might just give them a medication, to kind of like deal with the pain. And we know that sometimes these medications can lay on so many other symptoms. It's like, oh my gosh, why do I have to take something that's going to give me worse effects than what I came in here with? Can't you just give me something that, fixes the problem, or heals me without doing further damage to my well-being, And I think in this statement that I'm going to say, that's the example that I want you to think about. And so the statement that I said was that your spiritual condition dictates how you emotionally process and how you mentally process something. And the term that I use is that it is the puppeteer, right, of how you, it pulls the strings basically. And I told everyone on to think of like, old school Pinocchio. Don't think of like Sesame Street, because now with AI and all kind of things, these puppets are looking, right? But old school Pinocchio, where you got the puppeteer, and he's pulling the strings of the puppet and things like that. That's what our spiritual conditioning does, as far as how we process through things, So if you have like a healthy spiritual condition, and I'm already hearing like maybe someone, I always try to answer questions that I think that someone might be asking based on a statement that I just stated or said. And so if someone is wondering what the heck is a healthy spiritual condition, Sharla, there are two things that I would say. One is how how close are you with accepting the truth about something? Of course, it definitely tuning in with God, right? Tuning in with God. I'm believing Christ, so I definitely believe that gives you a healthy conditioning and empowerment. So definitely that tuning in with God, and when you do that, then being able to kind of like, what I like to call it is shorten your distance from the truth, right? So if you're healthy in the way that you can kind of take in fundamental, not just like someone's truth or things like that, just like fundamental truth that will consist no matter what country you put it in, bounce it from the genders, etc. It's just fundamental truth, right? Just like what we're talking about right now. If someone is not mentally healthy, a fundamental truth is it's going to be hard for them to kind of like navigate and process. It's going to be harder for them and more challenging, right? So there are certain things we want to be mentally healthy. We want to have emotional wellness and things like that. So that's number one. You can kind of look at that. And I think number two kind of goes into the next example that I'm going to bring up, is that I was telling participants who were listening to the first part is that one way you can tell if you are kind of in a mentally healthy state is that you notice that the way that you are processing things, there aren't cyclical thoughts that are lingering in your mind, that trickle down into the heart space. And so a simple way of describing that is that, if somebody does something wrong to you, so like unforgiveness or bitterness or resentment, right there, we have certain experiences in life, and those situations bring about certain emotions, and those emotions, because they can be very influential and very pulling, it can emotionally compromise us to kind of like just become one with that emotion, and then we get stuck there, and so I told the people who were on, you can assess like, okay, there are certain things that are lingering that is, and the way that I termed it was like kind of like mental loops in your mind, right? That eventually become mental loops in your emotion and your being, and it becomes unhealthy because we're not created to be like that. There's a reality of the eternal state that you have, which is your spirit, and it allows you to kind of navigate any challenges and emotional processes that you go through here, to know that nothing can really ever really truly break that eternal state, right? And so when you kind of have a healthy mental processing and understanding of that truth, then the things that you go through, not to say you're gonna feel it. I don't know if anyone will go through this world or this process that we're in not feeling any kind of suffering, any kind of heartache, any kind of pain, right? Like if you have someone in your life, we eventually are going to have to at some point experience the loss of that. So I don't think there's any way to negate that. And if you know that, then it's like, okay, it's fine. I don't have to resist this feeling or this pain. I can let it process through in a healthy manner, to know that none of it can really, truly ever really break me, because the things that are transient, are really no match for the things that are eternal. So even if it's a breaking, in having someone physically be there in your life, that there is, this aspect of us that continues on. A good example that I'll give you guys, for me, that was like a light bulb for me. I've always expressed on here whenever certain topics come up that my father passed away when he was very young. He was only 27 years old. I was 7, and I was with him in Jamaica up until I was 3 years old, and I came to America, and so I didn't really, have a lot of memories and have a lot of really core memories. So I didn't really feel like I got to know him in that way. And so, of course, when he passed away, I was like, oh man, I'm never going to get the opportunity to have that. And that definitely was like, definitely caused, some heartbreak in me. And I remember having this thought, come to me when I was, in the midst of kind of like experiencing that. And the thought said, even though you don't have your father physically here with you, love is beyond space, distance, and time. And here's the thing, his DNA, you are part of his blood, you are the extension of him. So what you're yearning for, which is of course the physical bond and things like that, that is literally a part of your makeup. And I don't know, it gave me, so much like peace and solace when I heard that, because it was like, oh my gosh, that is true. Like, I'm made, you know what I mean? He will never be apart from me, because I'm literally made up of his DNA. And I thought that was so powerful, so that's an example of that. When I say you can kind of know what your spiritual condition is when something that's a truth, a hard-hitting truth that really there is no argument around it, and you can receive it, and you don't say, oh no, I resist it because maybe I feel hurt right now, and this is just what I want to feel. I want to be in this right now, you know what I mean? And don't get me wrong, I love people who, like he said on the video that I showed you guys earlier on, he was like, I don't want to give you no fluff answer. I'm gonna give it to you real as it is right now, as we're in it. We are struggling and it's hard. And I love people who are like that because they're truthful, and they let you know what it is. And if that's what it is for right now, and they're not putting on a show or trying to hold up, when that's not what it is in the moment, then that gives opportunity for another condition, another state of their condition to come in, because they're not trying to hold up a certain representation that they think would be better to show, to the public. So I am going to take some time because, oh my gosh, Justin, you still in here with me. First of all, thank you, love. I don't know if you heard me, but thank you for letting me know I felt so horrible. But the fact that you're still in here, you a real one. So let me take some time to because he is taking a lot of time to type right now. He said, yes, mental health, it's important to all of us. Absolutely. Like, look, right now, I'm focusing on meditation, my music, and my space. Yeah, absolutely. And creating things, absolutely love that. Because when you come on here, you always tell me I'm in the lab, and it always gives me, it's just a breath of fresh air. And it's creativity. We're created to create, that's actually one of the things that I'm going to talk about tonight that helps to cultivate mental health in our relationships. And he said, agree, some people on mental health, they could feel jealousy. Another option is that don't skip sleep. Oh, you're talking to me for real. I literally came on here and I was like, oh my gosh, Sharla, you look so tired. Like, I can't get these tired eyes off. I literally said that because that is something I am, guys, struggling with. Like, because I think I try to do so much that the sleep is not sleeping, y'all. Like, confession time, I barely get 8 hours. Like, I barely get 7 hours. I barely sometimes get 6, So that is something that I'm trying to be better at. You hit it right on the nose, Justin, for real. Right? He said, if you did not have enough sleep, and keep staying up for sure. Right? Absolutely. Yeah, I agree with you. You highlighting a lot of important points here, Justin, for sure. You talking to me, right? So, all right. So what do we have so far? Prioritize, right? Talking about mental health. Don't wait till something happens for now your mental health journey to start, right? 2, your spiritual condition. Don't compartmentalize your well-being, right? So your spiritual well-being pulls the strings, right? It is the thing that navigates how you're going to, or dictates, I would say, not navigates, dictates how you navigate, how you emotionally process, how you mentally process things through. And we were just talking about emotions being transient. That's another thing, right? Like that's a fundamental truth. It really is. The emotion needs for us to literally, though always love using this example because I use it for my clients and they always call me back and say, Charlotte, this thing is really helping me. Like it was so, because sometimes, right, I'm a person, I need visualization, or metaphors or something, it helps me to kind of get things. So I always tell them, just imagine you're on a highway. There are cars that are really fast, the Lamborghinis, the Porsches. Those could be the high moments in life, and they just seem to zip by so fast. Kind of like how summer, for me, because of where I live, right, comes and goes because everybody lives in different places. And it just zip by so fast. But winter, I feel like that thing take forever. Like it's still cold right now. So same kind of concept, right? So maybe the excitement, maybe the happiness, make the high moments in life, they zip past so fast. And then maybe some of the right experiences like sadness, disappointment, anger, depression, all of those things, right, can be like the little putt-putt cars. That's how I describe it. Like you just had a certain amount of money to buy a certain type of car. It's going to get you to A and B, but maybe barely there where you feel like it's going to break down any moment right now. And then it's just like, put, I try to make it comical, right? Because that kind of, laughter helps with mental health too. So I'll tell them, when you're having those moments where you're feeling sad, when you're feeling depressed, when you're having anger, just imagine that putt-putt car, and just know that it is just an indicator. Just like if you're feeling pain in your leg, it's not the diagnosis, right? It is to say, okay, wow, let's look into this. We're feeling pain. Maybe we need to go to the doctor, maybe something else, right? The emotion is that way too, and just if it's more than something that's just going to pass and there's no lesson to be learned, let it pass, right? But if there's a lesson to be learned, then just imagine that there's a mail carrier in that car and let that mail carrier come out to your mailbox, drop the message off, go back in that car and go put its way back. You know what I mean? Like, but what those emotions, because they're so compelling, like they weigh on us. They want us to put out our thumb and hitchhike and say, come on, ride off into the sunset with me. You're not riding off into the sunset. You're riding right off a cliff if you go in the car. I remember telling, he was actually a vocal performance student of mine, and he was having a very estranged relationship with his father, and he was struggling with unforgiveness. And I told him, I said, this unforgiveness that you're struggling with, I want you to know that in this, I told him the same metaphor, same example that I'm giving you guys. And I said, you are in the car with your father. Your father is barbed wired in that car, and you are barbed wired alongside with him. You are actually entangled in the web, because that's what the unforgiveness is going to do. Because you can't hold on to the emotion of unforgiveness and think that you're releasing him. You're not, right? You literally are entangled in it together. And that's what those emotions, when they weigh us down, that's what it wants us to do. It's kind of like, put out your thumb. I want you to let me be your master. I want you to think that this emotion is you, instead of just a transient feeling. And I often tell people, love is not transient feeling. God is love, so it's an eternal state. It is an eternal condition that has characteristics that we want to learn about and embrace and take in. That's totally different. Now, does the emotion work in the heart space? Yes. Can you feel love in the heart space? Yes. But the fundamental thing of what it is that it's not something that's transient. It is an eternal state and an eternal condition, if we truly are experiencing it, right? And really submit to it, not other, as I like to say, things that mask themselves as love, like selfishness or lust or things like that. So that's the third one that I talked about, which is, don't, emotions are transient. That's just a key thing to kind of take on, because if not, then it's very hard when we go through those moments that we, deem as a low moments or challenging times, to allow for it to, pass. We hold on to it, So let me take some moment, because I believe Justin's still typing. Let me see what he's saying over here. Um, yes, he said express gratitude when you feel depressed. Like, Justin, come on now. Like, you got bars tonight. Everything you're saying is right on point. You know, he's right. I'm gonna put that on the show because that's so good, Justin. You're very true. Very true. Bar G20. How are you? Yeah, let me put that up. That's really good, Justin. I always say that. I say that there is no negative emotion that can hold the same space as gratitude. So, yeah, I definitely tell a lot of my clients and people that I just talk to in casual passing that if you are feeling depressed or if you're feeling angry, if you're feeling an emotion that you feel like is lingering too long and causing you to kind of stay in a mental loop, definitely express gratitude. You know, think on the things that you're grateful for, and you will be like so surprised at how fast that works, where you aren't thinking about the negative thing that was trying to be harbored in your heart. So I love that. Thank you, Justin. You got bars tonight. For real, you are saying a lot of great things. All right, so I'm just gonna give you guys two more tonight, and I'm gonna get off. The fourth one, and I didn't really put these in any particular order. So I don't want you to think like, okay, one, two, three, I'm just listing them off. This one was a game changer for me because I used to be hold the flag, balance is the key of life, and for me, I think because I'm multi-talented, it was something that helped me. It gave me kind of comfort because I always have said that I had the prayer out to God that I don't want to leave this world full of anything that you put inside of me. So help me learn how to pour all of it out and into the offer the most optimal value and to my greatest capacity. And so I would always think like, okay, balance the key of life, like how I'm going to pour out all these things, how I'm going to sing these songs, how I'm going to write these books, how I'm going to do now the coaching and things like that. So that definitely it had moments where it ran me ragged. And when it came up more so in the space when I was trying to go on auditions and I was getting into acting early on and trying to do, the acting auditions, doing the singing performances and things like that. And it didn't, thankfully, one of the greatest things that happened to me was I thought I found my perfect, job, or acting, performance, and it turned out that the lady was actually being untruthful and she didn't have the sponsorship, she didn't have the money and things like that. And I was just like, oh my gosh. And it was so great for me because I was able to, express all my skill sets. It involves me singing, it involved me acting, it involved me acting and singing about actual very important issues in the world, and it involved me traveling, all of things that I love to do. So it was just like, oh, this is great, all in one big old bundle, so when the rug was kind of like pulled under me, I was like, okay, never again. I'm not going to do that. And it was one of the best things that happened to me because I got time to do like what Justin said he's doing, where you kind of like reflect, you self-reflect. And I asked God, I said, I never will I let someone have that power over my creativity. So I really want to know how I can kind of just center myself and really figure how these things that you have given me are interconnected, so I don't feel like I'm all over the place. And when I did that, I poured into myself and read lots of books, and read the first two books I read was Rich Dad Poor Dad, and I think it was Think and Grow Rich. And something stood out to me because it was talking about liabilities and assets, and it was like, you don't want more liabilities and assets. And I was like, man, everything I'm doing is a liability because I don't have any assets, things that I can have that will accrue money outside of my physical presence having to be there. And so from that, it made me think about, certain things. What have I done throughout my life that is consistent, and for me, it was like writing. writing. So whether I'm writing songs and singing it, whether I'm writing plays and acting in it, or whether I'm writing books or things like that. And I created a publishing company after that. And so all of the things that I do started to kind of evolve and make more sense, for me doing it. But in as well, not but, and as well, in the midst of that process, what I heard was that balance is created by prioritization, not thinking. I think, at least for me, right? When I was thinking about it before, I would imagine like a pizza pie, and I'm looking at all these things and I'm trying to equally put the energy in all of those spaces to feel like, okay, yes, they're all balanced. Yay. I'm doing great. you know and God was like, no. Do you remember the scripture, Matthew 6:33? Seek ye the kingdom of heaven first, and all other things shall be added onto you, right? And so that was the aha moment for me, like, oh my gosh, because it literally was like, he was like, where's the balance in that, Sharla? There's no balance in that. There is prioritizing the things that are most essential, most pertinent, most have supreme importance. And then when you prioritize those things, then it will create a rippling effect for the other things in your life. And so that helped a lot, because I didn't feel like I had to do this juggling act. And I think about, seeing what was going on with the Ellises and what DeVal said. I think that's where, when you get to a space and point like that, a great thing would be like what he said. They're going to go back and they're going to lock into each other, and they're going to figure out what they need to prioritize, and sometimes that could be assessing that you have a larger load, you have more things that you're steward over, and now so the things that you use to invest in yourself and pour into yourself is no longer filling you up as much as it used to, because now you have more. So it's sometimes, right, just kind of like seeing what I can do now, right, or what works best now for me, for what my workload or the things that I'm responsible over. Hey, Queen, how are you, love? Thank you for popping in. So yeah, so that would be another thing. Prioritize. Balance is created by prioritization, not through trying to juggle every area of your life and trying to make it even. I always use, I know if anybody's done coaching or if anybody's went to therapy, you might have heard of this exercise called the Wheel of Life. And you'll have like different areas of your life. You'll have your health, you'll have your recreation, relationships, etc. And I always say, which one, if you have this pie, which one would you, want to lean into first, primarily? And, people say different answers, but I'm like, your health, like your health, that is the body that God has given you to navigate through this life. And so all the other areas, if your health is, what's the word? If it's breaking down, and it's not well enough, it's going to affect how you show up in all those areas, right? So it's like it would be beneficial to kind of primarily put that one, right, first, so that if you are healthy in body, mind, and spirit, it's going to affect how you show up in all of those areas, in your relationships, in the recreation, in your professionalism, so that would be an example of the process that you would do, or you would go through to figure out, okay, what do I need to prioritize? What is most essential? What, if I hit first, will cause a rippling effect to all the other areas, or all the other categories, or all the other positions that I'm in my life. So let me see. I have some things coming in, so I want to make sure I'm not missing them. Okay, that was just Queen saying hi. And Justin. Oh, Justin is talking about the song. Keep talking to me, Justin. I actually was just listening to it today to figure out what I needed to change around. So it's just keep talking to me. It's gonna get done though. I think I have more time now because the school year is ending. So yeah, so I wouldn't say it's almost done, but it's still in process for sure. But I appreciate your patience for sure. You did send me another one, but I definitely did not even want to look at that one until I finish just the way you are, to see if I'm even kind of like inspired by it or not. So I've just been focusing on that. Yeah, and I think that's everything else. I just wanted to make sure I wasn't missing anyone. And the second one that I'll do, and we'll get off because we've been on here for a while, folks, is creativity. My favorite. See, that's why I said Justin, he was all in my backyard with the things he was saying. Definitely creates an environment that nurtures mental health. I always tell people that I think definitely being able to navigate challenging times and things in my life, the creativity, that's why I love that's why I tell Justin, keep on me because it does. And I before I came on here with you guys, I actually was supposed to have a vocal lesson with one of my students, and the mother she was out and about and she forgot, and I was setting up the microphone and everything for her, and just setting up the space. And in school, I probably shouldn't have been doing this, but I was like a gym teacher today. So I was singing because I just had, was like bubbling over. And once I set up the space and my student didn't come in, I was like, you know what? This would be the perfect time for me to practice, my singing. And what I love about it for me is that I can sing and I could just get lost, and it's like I want to do it for hours and hours and hours and hours and like not do anything else. It's therapeutic, and so that would be the fifth one that I would say is some form of creativity, and especially for us adults, like, I don't know, it's like we go into adulthood and we forget how to play. We forget how to have fun. We think because of this life and the to-do list and the task and the things that we're responsible over, it's like, no, I don't have enough time. I don't have time to, do this or that. And I would say find something, that you are passionate about, that you love doing, that feeds you. I would say try to think of something that will feed all of you, like your mental well-being, your emotional, your physical body, and your spirit, right? Those are the things that would, if it can fuel all of those things, then that's a really good creative endeavor that you are kind of like embarking on. So definitely just creativity. I remember, I think maybe like a couple of years ago, Ben had bought me these coloring books. I don't know if you ever heard of them, like the adult coloring books. And, they're like really, detailed oriented and things like that. But I would do it and I would get so lost in it. Sometimes I would color with my kids. And I'm just using that as an example to say, right, like, because I use the example of me being a singer. And of course I sing and, I practice to go on stage and perform and things like that. But it doesn't have to be that deep, right? It can be something that's really simple that affords you to be creative, and it's a stress reliever, and it helps with your mental health. And if you're in a relationship, definitely do, if there's something you can do together, like something I do appreciate that I get to do music with Ben, and it definitely gives me energy, it fuels me, and in the idea that we're making an impact together, right? Or that we're creating something that will outlive both of us, right? That we can give to our children, or people all around the world can hear it. So it creates a bond, and it definitely creates a environment where, your mind can be nurtured and your heart can be healed in the process. So those are the five that I was thinking about. Of course, there's many, many more, but those are some like five fundamental kind of ones that I was like, yeah, but definitely Justin came here and told a lot, like being grateful, having gratitude if you're feeling down. Definitely laughter for sure. When they told me they couldn't hear me, but definitely laughter is good for just about anything, you know. So there's many other ones, but those are the ones that I wanted to go down and kind of go down the list and tell you guys that you can definitely apply to your process, and you can use it as a way to teach, right? If you have children, or as a talking point to have discussions with your partner. All right. But yeah, that's about it, folks. That's about it. Thank you guys for popping on me with me, and especially for those of you, you know, with the whole me not realizing, you know, that you can hear me for a good while and you still stay, especially Justin. Thank you. Thank you, love, for staying on. You know, that is A1 sauce. Like you stayed in there. I appreciate you. But I'm gonna get off now. You know, I want to keep y'all. Yeah, I'm going to listen to Justin and get off of here and get some sleep. Because that was another good one that he said. Like, you need sleep for your mental health. You know, and you would think it wouldn't be as hard, but it gets hard sometimes for sure, for me at least. But I enjoyed you guys tonight. Good night, Queen. Good night, Emily. Oh, Emily was on here too. Okay, I didn't know you stayed on here too, Emily. You're a trooper. You and Justin. But thank God for y'all, because if y'all wasn't in here, I probably would have did the whole thing, thinking y'all could hear me. Y'all couldn't. So I appreciate you. But as always, if you hear anything that you like, go to my Forever Friends Academy YouTube channel, subscribe, like, comment, etc. Spread if you find that this is valuable content. So I'm going to get off, and hopefully, God willing, I'll be on with you guys on Sunday. Enjoy your Memorial Day weekend. You know, it's like, for a lot of people, it's the flag that says it's summertime. So if you're in a place that's warm, God bless your soul. I hope the place where I live will get warm soon. But nonetheless, as always, love you guys. Great talking to you. Until next time, always remember to live to love freely. Bye.